All right, we are live and rolling. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Good evening. This is the City of Morro Bay City Council regular meeting. It is Tuesday, August the 9th, 2022. It is 5:30 p.m. We are at 209 Surf Street, the Veterans Hall in Morro Bay. Good evening. Pursuant to Assembly Bill 361 and Government Code Section 54953, this meeting will be conducted in a hybrid format with both in-person and virtual public participation. Ways to watch this meeting and submit public comment are provided and will be provided on the screen by our esteemed city clerk. And at that time, you may access us through either Zoom or your telephone if you would like. And with that, I will go ahead and call the meeting to order and establish a quorum if we could, Madam Clerk.
Which phone number for Steve Allen?
Oh. Or we could do announcements.
Who would you like to call?
Oh, sorry. Nobody. I'm sorry.
I love
Who would
it.
you like to call?
Sorry, people.
No worries.
Councilmember Addis is not present. Councilmember Ford? Here. Councilmember Heller?
I'm here.
Councilmember Barton? Here. And Mayor Heading.
Present. Thank you. We do have a quorum, and I will call the meeting to order and ask you in your own way to remember those in need, and we will ask for just a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you very much. And if you will stand and face the flag, we will do the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and I'll ask our city attorney, Mr. Newmeyer, do we have a closed session report this evening, sir?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. No closed session items to report.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Go to council member reports. Start with council member Heller, sir.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
My first announcement tonight is about the planning session for the community. That's tomorrow night here at Vets Hall. It's basically a presentation by the Community Development Department about the planning process, including EIRs and all that good stuff that I personally have always had lots of questions about, and there are a member of residents here who also have questions about it. So that is here tomorrow night from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Bring your questions. Just so you know, the two projects that are probably hottest on everyone's burner right now, the 3300 Panorama Project and the BESS battery storage project, specific questions about those projects will not be answered. So it's important that we recognize that. But bring all your questions. You'll learn about the processes in general, and it should be very informational. So that's tomorrow night, 5 to 6:30 p.m. here at Vets Hall. The second announcement I have is the Morro Bay Citizens Police Academy is going to be starting soon. This is a fantastic opportunity for people to learn about how the police department works. I participated a few years ago, and it was just remarkable. I highly encourage people to consider signing up for this. The application deadline is this Friday. It will take place over 9 Thursday nights, starting on September 1st through October 27th. This really is a chance to learn everything you wanted to know about police work here in the city, which is extremely important. Chief Cox, do you have anything you'd like to add or comment on this?
I'd just like to add, in addition to the Citizens Police Academy, it does start September 1st. We are also taking applications currently for the Chiefs Advisory Committee. We have a couple of available positions there, and we encourage any of those folks that would like to be a part of that Committee, which is an advisory team that I utilize to make those important decisions and directions of where we're going as a police department. So that opportunity is still available, and I encourage anybody that's seeking to do that to please reach out to me or one of the current Chiefs Advisory Committee members for additional information or an application.
Okay, and is there a deadline for that, applying, or?
That'll be open until those positions are
Until
filled.
they're filled? Okay, great. And then the last thing, my favorite activity in Morro Bay is the Morro Bay Maritime Museum. And this is a couple of months away, but I want to get everybody the heads up on it. On October 8th is Family Fun Day at the museum. It's free. It's going to be lots of fun with sandcastle building contest, chowder contest, all kinds of fishing things. And of course, there'll be the museum and the tour of the boats for those of you who haven't done that. Recently, there are a number of new exhibits and activities down there for kids as well as entire families. So mark that on the calendar, Saturday, October 8th. And those are my announcements. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Heller. And Councilmember Barton, please.
I just wanted to add one thing on to what Councilmember Heller said about the planning session tomorrow night. As far as I know, unless something's changed, it's also going to be available on Zoom, right? So, yeah, so that will be another possible way to watch if you can't come. So you can keep up on how all the planning works in Morro Bay. So that's it.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Ford.
Thank you, Mayor Heading. I want to, so July was quite a long month with a lot going on, and we weren't in session during that time, and a lot took place. And I just want to thank our Recreation Services Department for putting on another great 4th of July event for families. I enjoyed it with my family, and there was also a bike parade that was held. Well, it's held every year, just about, except for during COVID. But it was held this year in honor of Red Davis, and so it was extra special. So that took place earlier this month. And then I had the honor of also attending the National Night Out. It was the 39th annual one this year, and I brought my nephew with me, and we got to watch some of our favorite locals get dunked in a dunk tank, and such as our chief here, he took a dunk a few times. But it was a great way for community to get out and to meet our service members and other community members, and it was just a wonderful night. And thank you to all who participated. It was wonderful. And I also want to talk about the EBAC meeting. Again, that's the Estero Bay Alliance of Care. It's a group that I'm a part of as a council member, and each meeting consists of different community members from Los Osos, our county of SLO, and also Morro Bay. And during that time, I learned that our Monday night dinners, which are typically 40 to 50 people who attend to get a warm meal here at our Vets Hall, has increased to about 60 participants nowadays. And so we have, and it's anyone's invited to come and have a free meal. And it also was brought to my attention that the third Thursday of every month at St. Timothy's, they serve a soup lunch at noon. So if you are interested in that as well, it's free. And I encourage you to take advantage of that if that's something that you'd like to join. Also, some other upcoming events. Our council member here, Mr. Heller, covered one of them by the Maritime Museum. They're also having another event that's a few days before the Family Fun Day. It takes place on the 6th of October. It's called Rock the Waterfront, and it's going to be held at 5:30 at the Morro Bay Yacht Club. But this is an event that you have to purchase tickets for. This is not a free event like the Family Fun Day. But if you would like to purchase tickets, they are on sale now at the Maritime Museum. But it's going to be an event that has food and entertainment, beverages, and there's going to be some very special, unique auctions. And also, we have coming up the Estero Bay Kindness Coalition on August 26th. They're having a special fundraising concert at the Slow Brew Rock at 6:30. The Zongo All-Stars, many of you have probably heard them. They're going to be performing. And this concert benefits this wonderful organization that provides food and clothing for local families here in Estero Bay. They're a really important organization that does great work. So if you'd like to support this organization, you can purchase tickets, and those can be purchased at esterobaykindnesscoalition.org. And they're also having a raffle. You can purchase tickets as well on that same website, and you do not have to be present to win, I've been told. And let's see here, we have quite a few events coming up. We have Morrow Bay Sings. It's a wonderful fundraiser that is benefiting the Community Foundation of Estero Bay. And this year's theme is going to be Creedence Clearwater Revival. If that perks your interest. Tickets will soon be on sale on their website, but for now, save that date, which is October 15th. Put that on your calendar, and check the Community Foundation esterobay.org often, because those ticket sales will start any day. And then I'm sure that our very own Erica Crawford's probably going to cover this, but just in case, we do have this year's Avocado Margarita Food and Drink Festival that's coming up September 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's 3 days this year. You heard it right. And so it's exciting. You can find out more information at avomargfest.com. And I think that's all that I have. All right, thank you.
Well, thank you, and there's absolutely nothing else to announce this evening. I think we have covered everything. I will mention that I attended the SLOCOG, San Luis Obispo County of Governments and Regional Transportation Authority meeting this past week. Wanted to report on a continued issue that fortunately has not impacted Morrow Bay yet, but perhaps could in the near future, and that is the absolute difficulty with regard to recruitment for transportation bus and other transport drivers. There is a significant shortage. Part of it is a wage and salary issue. And so fortunately, none of the routes in Morrow Bay have been affected yet, but we're getting close to the point, or they are getting close to the point where they may have to cut back on certain routes, and I will make sure that the community is aware if it does impact Morrow Bay in the future. But it is severe. They're down by over 30% in terms of number of drivers. Lots of overtime is being used, and it's just seems to be a national shortage of a transportation driver. So hopefully will not affect Morrow Bay soon. Mr. Collins, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Just one quick announcement. Per the fiscal year 22-23 budget that Council approved on June 28th of 2022, we are now offering community grants to nonprofits within our region that serve Morrow Bay residents. The application process is underway, and you can find information on our city website. But ultimately, what's necessary to know is that it's due on September 2nd, 2022. It'll take about a month or so to review those applications and bring forward recommendations to City Council. Council put forward $60,000 this year for community grants to support just general services, but those who are also impacted by COVID-19. And there's also a special allotment for youth programming. So information is on the front page of the city website. Again, September 2nd of this year is the due date. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate that. That brings us tonight to our presentations. The first presentation this evening, I'm very pleased to ask our chief of our fire department, Dan McCrane, to come up, sir. And we have a special presentation for the Friends of Morrow Bay Fire Department donation to our scholarship program. And so welcome, Chief. No. See if the mic's on. AGP, public comment. Try it again now. Not yet. We'll get some... Welcome, Carla.
Okay, there we go. So what this is a forcible entry prop, and it simulates having a door into a business or a structure, and it has replaceable hinges and replaceable pieces of wood that you can put in, and it allows us to use our tools to force the door, and those scrap pieces of wood will break, simulating like a door jamb breaking or something like that. Allows us to utilize the tools, but the door's made of heavy steel so that we can continuously reuse it and train over and over again. This is something that we wouldn't be able to train on other than if we had an abandoned house or something like that that we could practice trying to force. As you can see with the video, it's quite a lot of work to get in through a door with a deadbolt, and it just allows us to utilize those tools. So what the guys are using here is a specialty tool called a Halligan bar. It was developed by a firefighter from New York City, and the tool's got a couple different ends on it. One end has a big fork, and that could be used to force a gap in the door. The other end has a spike and a blade, and those can be used for puncturing and for prying. So you use a combination of the Halligan tool and a flathead axe, and you will drive that tool into the door jamb, forcing a gap in there, and then you can use the leverage of the tool to pry it open and break the locks or break the hinges. As you can see from the effort it takes, it takes a few minutes to get in through a doorway, and it's quite physically demanding to do this. So it's something that when time is of the essence, the house is on fire, there's somebody with a critical medical emergency on the other side. This is something we want to really be proficient at to cut down the time it takes to gain access to that patient or to the fire. So again, we thank the Friends for this gracious donation. It's something that's been very difficult for us to train on, and this is something that we can use. We have it available for PD to use as well if need be. Just allows us one more tool in the toolbox to be proficient when the time comes to need it. So again, thank you.
Yes, and on part of the council, I just want to also thank the board for all your work and your donations to the city, but especially supporting those students or those firefighters coming up with scholarships and assisting with their education. And I know many of them couldn't do it without your assistance. So thanks for your tireless efforts. I'm sorry about the video with regard to sound, but next time we'll play it again when we can hear it crunched and broken through. But thank you very much, and if you'll give them a hand, we would just say thank you. Okay. That brings us to our second presentation, and that would be the quarterly update from Erica Crawford, our CEO from the Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Erica. Actually, Chris, how far does yours reach? Not quite that far. Can you yell? A lot of people do. So. Oh, you know what, Erica? Would you like to sit here? There's actually a place there, whatever would be best for you. Thanks. Sorry about that. We'll improvise. Yeah, there you go. Welcome, Erica.
Thank you very much,
All
Director
right.
Kowalik. Okay, are we ready to go? Dana, I've got eyes on you. Thank you so much, Honorable Mayor and Council. I'm Erica with the Morrow Bay Chamber of Commerce, here to do a quarterly update on economic development activities in partnership with the city. I will always start with this slide because there are people who are just tuning into council meetings for the first time or new residents to Morrow Bay. The Morrow Bay Chamber of Commerce is an independent nonprofit. We're a 501c6. We are a membership organization. We are members of the Western Association of Chamber Executives. We commit to professional development. We take our jobs pretty seriously. So we have myself as a full-time staff member, Lindsay Hansen is our membership director, and Jody Ollier is the glue. She is our part-time assist. We work to catalyze growth and opportunity in Morrow Bay, to convene community leaders to that end, and to champion a strong community as a result of those efforts. So we deliver on our economic development contract with you, the city, our partners, with our chamber's board approval, at the council's pleasure, and in close coordination with city staff. We are a 12-member board of directors. We have lots of volunteers in our organization. And they are my bosses, so they set the strategic direction of the organization. You got it, Dana. Okay, so economic development scope overview. I consider what we do in 3 buckets. The first is acting as a designated proactive representative, representing the City of Morrow Bay and regional initiatives. Then we take it local and do our tactical execution of economic development strategy for our community. And that's all in an effort to preserve and materially enhance Morrow Bay's small town character. So I'm your ED contractor. This is what I do at work. So I meet regularly and have done since 2018 with our city manager. The community development director, city manager, and I meet twice every month. We're looking at projects in the pipeline. We're talking about strategy and policy implementation for economic development. I attend as many development review team meetings as feasible. Those occur weekly, and I try to assist in any applicant-city coordination that would be helpful from the private sector. And then I am an active member of the REACH Practitioners Network. REACH is the Regional Economic Action Coalition for Santa Barbara and SLO counties. And I have a couple of slides on our current efforts there. So I've just been learning in the last few months, the sentiment is that we truly are in a once-in-a-lifetime moment for funding. At the federal level, the American Rescue Plan Act money is out there. There's an unprecedented California budget surplus, and there appears to be a state administration that's committed to growing economic opportunity for all Californians. Next slide. So one of the initiatives that I'm sitting on a steering committee for the region is the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy, or CEDS. This is a federally funded Economic Development Administration effort. It'll be a 5-year plan once it's done. The purpose of the steering committee is to sort of create a visionary plan for regional economic development, and that's, of course, with a consultant who does these across the country. This will be building on REACH's jobs plan. It's called REACH 2030. The importance here to note is that if an initiative is not really covered in a CEDS, it becomes more difficult to seek funding for. So it's very important that Morrow Bay is at this table. Next slide. So on the state level, I'm not engaged intimately in this at all, but there is a Community Economic Resilience Fund. It's a grant program through the state of California. REACH is leading this initiative with Monterey Bay Economic Partnership and the EDC of Santa Barbara and Ventura. It'll be an up to 2-year effort, but it's actually a 6-county partnership working to uplift the residents of the entire Central Coast. So I wanted to make sure that that was on your radar. And next slide. I'm actually sitting in Eric Endersby's seat right now, and he is my partner in this. So REACH is undertaking a study, got another REACH project. They have created a technical advisory committee to assist a consultant, Mott McDonald, on a study to provide an assessment of potential waterfront infrastructure options to support offshore wind and to support commercial spaceflight. This study has been funded through the County of San Luis Obispo, County of Santa Barbara, and of course the City of Morrow Bay. Thank you for that. And it is going along concurrently with 2 other waterfront infrastructure studies. One is through the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, and the other, I think, is the CEC. The reason they're not completely overlapping, but we want to be all speaking the same language so that our local community can integrate seamlessly into these more federal outside plans. And then the estimated completion date is late fall of 22. Next slide. Okay, we'll get down to the local level now on tactical execution of economic development strategy. I just wanted to quickly show you that we are integrating economic development into regular chamber programming. So we have on this slide, a breakfast that we did where we're talking about regional initiatives, we're talking about renewable energy, we're talking about construction in our own backyard, and we're talking about our most dominant industry, which is tourism. Next slide. So we call it the Roadmap to Success. We're providing on-the-ground business assistance, and I have a series of photos of some of the businesses that we have been in close coordination with. Of course, Forever Stoked and the Quintana Economic Center, continually impacted by some of the construction, so we kind of provide a point of contact, although city staff has also been incredibly helpful there. Downtown, isn't it refreshing? Look at all of this incredible investment in our downtown. We have new businesses, we've got businesses that are reinvesting in spaces, this really cool mural, and I can say that the chamber has kind of been in touch with all of these businesses to make sure that they have what they need. Next slide. Set and Setting, another business downtown. This is an example of when we kind of stepped in and provided some assistance even related to Morrow Bay PD. They had some transient issues in our downtown, and we're able to kind of be the point person for businesses, small businesses in our community who need a whole bunch of different things. Next slide. Again, the American Rescue Plan Act, our staff connected members of our community in the commercial fishing industry, restaurants, retails, and nonprofits. The County of San Luis Obispo did a grant for using ARPA funds, and I've heard some success stories with checks just coming in the last couple of weeks. And on the right-hand side, it's very important that our business community is aware of the ERTC, the Employee Retention Tax Credit. If anybody out there maintained a staff throughout the pandemic, they may be eligible for this tax credit from the federal government. And especially if you've already applied for it, there is potentially a chance to engage with it again. So if anybody out there has done that, please get in touch with the chamber. We can get you hooked up with some resources. Incremental development and measure revitalization, another aspect of what we're doing in our strategy. So, projects like the Libertine are, moving along on the waterfront. In the next slide, we've got this really great young couple that's come out actually from Brooklyn that are opening a great restaurant concept right in the downtown where the Grandma's Frozen Yogurt and Waffles shop was. They're actually hosting a mixer tomorrow, and then they're catering our next breakfast next week. Next slide. Great project going up in North Morrow Bay, a boutique hotel. We engaged them. They came and spoke at one of our breakfasts. Next slide. And Scout Coffee. We're so excited, but we may have to wait until 2023. So we're tracking that project. Next slide. And then I'd say the other part of our strategy tactically is to really support the city in pursuit of catalyst site development. So these are projects that are going to be providing exponential economic impact to the community. Next slide. Of course, we're talking about offshore wind, renewable energy. Next slide. We did answer a call to action. BOEM had a call out for comments for the proposed sale notice for offshore wind leases, both right off of our coast and up in Humboldt. We provided comment, submitted to the Federal Register, coordinated with stakeholders like the commercial fishing industry, the city of Morrow Bay, REACH, the offshore wind development community. It was critical to do that because there are bid credits in these in the sales notice that talk about providing support to workforce and supply chain development and to our commercial fishing industry. Next slide. And of course, the battery project, Vistra, we are in touch with Vistra regularly. Next slide. And SBDC, we have been working with SBDC for years and the Cal Poly Center for Innovation and Entrepreneurship. We're learning more about a potential clean tech incubator to take root here in Morrow Bay, which is really exciting. Next slide. And this one, our bid feasibility study, part of our contract is on deliverables. So this is a special project management, and it is complete now. So we do have a feasibility report. We're going to debut that to the business community on August 29th at 5:30 p.m. at Pizza Port, and I'm securing speakers now. This is important to kind of get practitioners, people who run downtown associations, people who run business improvement districts, who can talk about what funding can be used for, to talk about how to get these things started, because it really does need to be an organic, from the business community out effort. So we'll be happy to, that report is done, I'm going to be sharing it with council. We have already reviewed that with city staff, and we are ready to get that out in daylight to the world. Next slide. Just really quick, I just wanted to show people that, in the spring in the chamber, next slide, we did a great listening tour to make sure that the services we were providing as related to economic development were relevant for each of our 4 economic centers. Super important to us to reach out to North Morrow Bay, downtown, Quintana, and Waterfront. Next slide. As one of the things that came out of that is an upcoming 3-part web series focused on marketing. Next slide. Looking forward, next slide. This is really quick. If any businesses out there don't know what RBS is and they're in alcoholic beverage service, please contact the chamber immediately. This is very important. And nonprofits who are providing alcoholic beverages, this is a requirement through the ABC to have somebody certified there. Next slide. Next week, we are doing Breakfast on the Bay with a focus on home. So we have Joe Dvorsnak, who's with the county, talking about their 5-year plan to end to address homelessness in the county. We have the director of Haslo coming to update us on the affordable housing project on Highway 41. Krista Jeffries, who runs the SLOW chapter of the Yes in My Backyard, the YIMBY pro-housing movement, is going to come and speak with us. And to round it out, the ultimate home, our planet, we have the Central Coast State Parks Association, who will be coming to talk about conservation and preservation. And we've got a mixer tomorrow night. Next slide. That's it. Really, Avocado Margarita Festival. We're going to end here. It's coming. We've really, as we reinvented this event, our why is to get cash registers ringing, people sleeping in hotels, people circulating through our economy. So we've created a festival that has 2 different venues. We want our guests to be circulating throughout our city, using the trolley, really getting out there and having a great time. So it's a completely reimagined event. It's much smaller, and people are welcome to check our event website for details. I think that's it, and I'm happy to answer any questions. I feel like I spoke slower seated.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, indeed. We'll have to
Strange.
continue to do that. What's the date for the Margarita Festival?
It is Friday, September 9th through Sunday, September 11th, is at Tidelands Park. And then on Saturday, we have some special satellite events. We have a workout class at the Rock in the morning, and then we have a concert on a stage at the Rock at night.
Fantastic.
Pretty cool.
How many FTEs, full-time equivalents, do you have at the chamber?
2.
You have 2, and I don't know if you looked at the content of what happens through the chamber, but it's an amazing amount of work, production that comes out, and a lot of that's due to Erica, but also her great small staff, but also a very supportive board that has really aligned well with this community, but also with the city council, and we consider it to be a very important, and the partnership has just grown so much in the last couple of years. We appreciate all the work that you're doing, that your staff is doing, and your board, as well as the GAC, your Government Affairs Committee. So would you give our thanks to them for all of this great work that's happening now, and the benefits are being reaped now as we speak with these new businesses that are coming to the community. So thank you on the part of the council, and I'll open it up for any questions for her that you might have. Yes, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much, Erica. I have a question. You mentioned an incubator program that's coming. Can you repeat what that was? I missed it.
It's okay. It's and I don't want to talk too much about it.
That's
It's
totally fine.
it's a SBDC CIE project. I'm actually getting together with Judy Mahan this week to get kind of read up on that. July was a hard time for everybody to connect, but it should be pretty exciting. We're hoping that could happen in our community.
Wonderful. And Judy is a great person to...
Great resource, and
Yes.
it's on our board of directors.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you for your hard work, as well as everyone else who works with the chamber, including the board. I have really enjoyed this new breakfast by the Bay. It has been such an amazing way for our communities. Well, I'm not a morning person, and I'm just going to start with that. And it is a wonderful way to start the day. It just gets you energized and informed, and you get to visit with locals and other business owners, and yeah, it's just wonderful. So thank you for all the hard work.
Thank you. That's part of the convening mission, right? To try and get us all together. And I appreciate your comments on the board, and I think the lines of communication that we've established are really positive, because we may not always agree, but we most certainly speak, transparently, and it's our point to kind of represent the interests of the business community. And on that note, we will have our board elections coming up, so we'll be getting word out there. I think I have 5 seats up for re-election this year. So.
Okay. Other questions?
I
Yes.
wanted to make a couple of comments. One is I'm delighted to hear that you're working on getting a business improvement district going. That is so important. I've seen it in several different cities, and it's huge. It just really changes the whole dynamic. So I'm glad to hear that's coming.
Yeah. I think the resource that we are going to provide to the downtown and waterfront business districts should be useful, and something that they can really rally around.
Yeah, great. And the morning breakfast meetings have been great, meeting so many different people.
Great.
And it's a great opportunity, especially the newest businesses. It's like, wow,
Who are you?
It's yeah,
Yeah.
nice to highlight them and so anyway, thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Erica.
Okay,
Appreciate it
thank
very
you
much. Okay. That brings us, folks, to public comment. This is general public comment for items that are on the agenda this evening, for which you can't stay and you'd like to comment on, or anything else you'd like to speak to with regard to the city of Morro Bay. So general public comment is now open. And I do have one speaker slip first. I'll call on Linda Winters. Linda, welcome. I see you in the back there. I see you. No, take your time. I think the one on your right does work, I believe. Push the button.
Hello? Oh, wow, I'm glad I don't have to yell, because it wouldn't have worked. Council folks, mayor, city staff, as you might all remember, I am thrilled to be back here in person for council meetings. I'm Linda Winters, a self-appointed representing the residents of the 14 mobile home parks here in Morrow Bay. You may not know that I am also a representative to the statewide ombudsman group that helps mobile home residents throughout the state of California to better understand the laws written specifically for them in the California Civil Code 798. The mobile home residency laws are otherwise known as the MRL. They also have a lobbyist in Sacramento. In Morrow Bay, we mobile home residents are doubly protected with the city ordinance 499 for rent control, known as the Morrow Bay Rent Stabilization Ordinance, or the RSO. Statewide, there are over 100 jurisdictions that have RSOs that represent 144,376 mobile home spaces in 1,394 parks. We here in Morrow Bay have 14 mobile home parks and that have approximately 750 full-time residents. These residents constitute 1/10 of our population, with approximately 75% registered voters, which is a really extraordinary number. This brings me back to being a representative to the mobile home residents. I've been working hard for the past several years to create a strong line of communication amongst the people living in our parks and with the city and with the state. That has always been my goal. And speaking of goals, Mr. Collins, I understand this evening we will be updating city goals and actions in the C2 business item. I now will add my goal to that list, creating that strong line of communication within the mobile home parks population and communication with all of the parks and the city, and to keep our homes secure. May we all work together for a greater good of our mobile home, the mobile home parks, and for the greater good of Morrow Bay. Thank you very much, and I'll see you all in 2 weeks.
Thank you, Linda. Mobile home. General public comment is still open. Any members of the public wishing to come forward, please do so now. Welcome, Michael.
Sorry, I didn't understand the protocol. Michael Lucas, citizen of Morrow Bay, former planning commissioner. In May, I was appointed to the Diablo Canyon decommissioning engagement panel. And tonight, I just want to make you aware, and the citizens watching, that there's been significant change over the last few months. The governor and at the federal level have made funds available to potentially offset costs of keeping Diablo Canyon open for an extended period of time. The numbers that are floated around are 5 to 10 years, but the cost of doing so probably is very prohibitive, and it wouldn't be impossible to think about that as perhaps 20 years. So the reason I mention that is the California Energy Commission, as these things are in very fluid dynamics right now, is going to have an online meeting this Friday, the 12th, from 4 till 7 p.m. It's a joint committee of several different entities within the state administration. And then the panel that I'm part of, the Diablo Canyon Decommissioning Engagement Panel, will be having a meeting on August 24th from 6 till 9. That'll also be online, and usually that's held down in the SLO County Government chambers. But you can look at our diablocanyonpanel.org site to see information on that. And of course, as Ms. Stewart just said, the idea that Diablo Canyon in certain ways was in competition with Morrow Bay for facilities that would facilitate the offshore wind development. So this is a significant change in terms of that. And the other thing that I would put out there is one of the big issues that we have a problem with is the idea of the nuclear fuel storage, and a prolonged extension of the licensing would mean that potentially, it's not definite, but we potentially have a long-term nuclear fuel repository here as our neighbor. And so I just bring that to your attention, so to keep your eye on the facts as they emerge over the next few months. It's been really a fast series of things happening, and just be aware. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And again, that is this Friday, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It's diablocanyonpanel.org. If you go there, you can access the Zoom link or whatever.
You can go there for our Zoom link. I believe you have to go to the California Energy Commission and look up Diablo Canyon to see what the URLs are for the Zoom capacity on Friday.
Perhaps we can quickly get it up on our website. I do have the address at home. I don't have it with me, but thank you for announcing that. We appreciate your involvement in that committee. General public comment is still open. Any members of the public wishing to come forward, come on down. Welcome, Gary. The one on the button has to, yeah, the button.
Thank you. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. Without these two organizations, I don't know what our community would look like as far as safety goes and so forth. We got the police chief over here, and we got the fire chief over here. Now, how important it is for our community. My wife had a serious fall in the garage. I was 12 feet away. She said, I'm falling backwards. Her head hit the cement. I went over. The first thing I shouldn't have done was I tried to pick her up. That's a no-no. I called my neighbor across the street. This is an emergency. Can you get over here? He come running over. And I said, I'm going to call 911. I did. Within 5 minutes, they were here. The ambulance was here, and the rescue truck was here. Very professional. There was one thing that's very important. The first thing, because of our age, we take a lot of pills. The first thing he asked, what medications do you take? I said, go in the kitchen, it's on the wall. We saved time that way. And then the paramedics showed up, brought the gurney in, and loaded my wife on there, and the way we went. And so I just want to say thank you. I don't even know what would happen if you took too long to get there, because she was out. And so we got to see her Vista. So I'd say within 1 hour, they did the CAT scan, the whole thing, and turned out she didn't have any bleeding, and she was super. And one thing she said, she doesn't remember anything till she got to the hospital. That's how bad it was. So thank you, Fire Chief, and your crew. Very professional. And I'm so glad that we have these two great organizations, because one thing is I never hear any gunshots in Morrow Bay. And you guys, I live right on Morrow Avenue, right near beach. You're busy, especially the weekends. All day long, there's sirens, and the police chief too. I was talking to him about it. So thank you.
Thank you, Gary. I hope Nancy's doing well and is recovered. And thank you for that recognition. Chief, thank you and your staff for your great response times and your great compassionate work that you do for the community.
Thank you very much.
Public comment still open. Any member of the public wishing to come forward, please do so now. Yes, welcome.
My name is Betty DeRosa. I own a home here in Morrow Bay, in the Morrow Heights area, in Acacia Hills. I am not a full-time resident up here, but we have had a home up here for 50-plus years. My biggest concern right now is when we often go to Miners, because we do rent our house out and there are repairs to do. When we go through Morrow Bay to Miners, I understand the blockage of traffic due to the new sewage system and so on. But that corner of Highway 41 and Main is atrocious. Is there some way for the safety of the kids that go through there, that go to high school and so on down there, the recreational facilities that are down there, and the people just moving around, put in a traffic signal, please, and don't put in a roundabout. I heard from locals that possibly a roundabout might be thought of. A signal, please, for the safety of our city. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Public comment is still open. Any members of the public wishing to come forward, please do so now. And welcome.
Hi, my name is Alexa Ford, Jen Ford's daughter. I don't have anything prepared, but I was compelled to come up because my mother is being confirmed today. And I just wanted to openly speak about how genuinely proud of her that I am, being with her from the moment we moved here and seeing her involvement in politics from, working on campaigns and then just moving her way up with the courage of the other people inhabiting this city and just seeing the change that she's made so far in the small time that we've been here and being proud of that and looking forward to the change she will continue to make. And yeah, just wanted to say I'm proud of you, Mom.
So proud of you. Oh, don't cry, you're gonna make us cry. So proud of you, and thank you for letting us be a part of your campaign. And you're such a powerful woman, and I'm so proud. All right, love you. Thank you.
Love you, Mom.
Oh, man, I don't know how can we continue the meeting? This is a tearful moment here. Here, Jen. I had that ready for you because I saw family members. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you. I'll change the tone here so tears can dry up. My name's Betty Winholtz, and I have two items that I'd like, hopefully, that you can address. One is the fact that the public cannot bring an item and have it seen on the screen. And I know you're kind of aware of that, but I don't know what progress is being made. So that if someone has a flyer that they need to show, or if someone has a picture of something, that we can spontaneously put that up there. The second item is that for a long time, I've been frustrated with the city's website. If I type in, and I did today, a certain thing about Ordinance 659, and what comes up are things that have nothing to do with that. And so I don't know if there's a way for the IT person to better, and I don't even know the language to talk about that, but when you're looking for something, you don't necessarily get it. And so if there are other keywords that can be used, or if you can educate the public on how to use that, it's not helpful. So I would like to see a little work done on the website. Thanks.
Thank you, Betty. Public comment is still open. Any members of the public wishing to come forward, please do so now. Seeing none. AGP, do we have any phone calls for public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have one raised hand from Aaron Oakes.
Okay. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, members of the council and board. My name is Aaron Oakes, resident of Morrow Bay. The city of Morrow Bay has made a conscious decision to not engage with their constituents with a two-way dialogue about important issues like the Morrow Bay Water Reclamation Facility, our waterfront, geological hazards at the Chevron property, and at 3300 Panorama Drive. These issues pose a direct threat to the livelihoods of our residents and small businesses. We need to take decisive action on these matters to ensure the residents have a city they can trust. We can start by putting people, not politics, back on the agenda and voting out those who don't do that. We can start by holding special meetings on those issues, study sessions, and strategic ad hoc committees. All I ask is for our council to do their jobs. I'm calling on Mayor Heading, Council Members Addis and Ford to do their jobs. But my simple request has so far fallen on deaf ears. Perhaps it's because I'm not Helios Dayspring. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. AGP, do we have further public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no more raised hands in the queue.
Okay, thanks. I'll close public comment, bring it back to council. Ms. DeRosa, the 41-1 intersection has for a long time been studied by San Luis Obispo County of Governments under the auspices of Caltrans. The project is currently in the planning and design phase. There's been no decision or final decision on what type of improvements need to be made with regard to roundabout light and/or configuration. But we do give routine reports at least 2 or 3 times a year as they're reported to us through Caltrans, and we'll continue to do that. And if you'd like to sign up on our website called Notify Me, and specifically you would get notifications for city council meetings when that would potentially be an agenda item, and you would be able to get information with regard to that. So just wanted to make sure you knew that. Yes, ma'am. And then Ms. Winholtz, looks like we need that old overhead projector brought back, right? But you can put something up on the screen, so we'll look into that. And I don't even know if they still make those things, but we might have one in storage. We'll check that. And I know that Mr. Collins made a note about the website and issues with the search engine. And so we'll look into that as well. Perhaps, Mr. Collins, you might address some of the special meetings we've had and are scheduled regarding Mr. Oak's comments, specifically regarding the wastewater facility and the numerous times we've reported on that in the special session. Again, that will be coming up, I believe, in 2 weeks on that. Also, the Panoramic Drive issue. Mr. Graham, you may make comments about that. And I think there was a third one, but I missed it. But thank you. Scott?
Sure, yeah, the council put forward a future agenda item at the last council meeting in response to questions from the community about how we got to where we are with the total projected budget of $160 million for the project. So that'll be discussed as part of a bigger wharf item at the 8/23 council meeting. I think that was it on that. Obviously, leading up to the wharf and the vast number of important decisions that council made on that, there was probably 50 to 100 different meetings that led up to those decisions. So just want to make sure that's clear. Once the project moved forward, we've had other opportunities with monthly or quarterly reports, both here with the council and with prior to with WRFCAC, and then with PWAB and the WRFCAC was the Water Reclamation Facility Citizen Advisory Committee that their work was then moved into the Public Works Advisory Board, and we've had the Citizen Finance Advisory Committee that's also reviewed the project on a quarterly basis. So that I'll turn over to Scott to talk about the Panorama Project.
Yeah, thanks, Scott.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 3300 Panorama Project, the status of that project, currently we're reviewing proposals for the environmental work on the project, whether it be an EIR, mitigated negative declaration. So I think we have 3 proposals in house right now. Nancy Hubbard, the planner on the project, is on vacation currently. When she returns, we'll be going through the proposals and choosing one of the firms to move forward with the environmental documentation. Next opportunity to weigh in on that, if it ends up being an EIR, would be through the notice of preparation for the scoping meeting. Following that would be for the draft environmental impact report. Once that's released, be available for comment for the public, and then through the public hearing process, which will go before Planning Commission and City Council.
And thanks again to Councilmember Heller for reminding the community earlier this evening about the event tomorrow night. It's to help unpack all the things that Scott said. I mean, there's some jargon in there, and so it was really a good idea from council to have us bring forward an item that really demystifies the planning process, of which the battery project and like the Panorama project and others would go through, because they likely would have some environmental impact, or at least we need to study that. And so there's more robust process, and oftentimes the community doesn't really understand how to engage. So we're trying to lower the barriers for people to get involved. So.
And if you could just elaborate, Mr. Graham, about the reason why the Panoramic project has not come to City Council yet, and maybe the legalities behind that and the process in just a quick manner. It's obviously not something that we're, at this time, supposed to consider.
Yeah, once a project is initially submitted, the city has 30 days to review it for completeness. The city did that and determined the project to be incomplete and provided a laundry list of items that the applicant needs to address, including many environmental studies that go along with the project. And we're working with the applicant on the preparation of those studies, as well as hiring an outside consultant to prepare the final environmental document for the project. But it can't. We don't have a finalized project design in front of us right now to be studied. They haven't resubmitted it to us. They've got some drafts. We've had some discussion on the revisions that they're making in response to our incomplete letter. But once they do resubmit, then that information will be posted on our website. You can actually sign up under Notify Me for the 3300 Panoramic project. And as we put new information on the current project's website, you can see it. You'll be notified via email as we post stuff there. So if you're interested in the project, you should sign up for that, because we're probably in the process right now. Within the next couple of months, we'll be posting quite a bit of information related to the environmental process that it's currently undergoing. So.
Good, thank you both for that expanded explanation. I do appreciate that. With your permission, Council, I do have Councilmember Addis in wait via hybrid Zoom. If we could go ahead and pull A5 and address that, and if we approve that, then we could allow her to come in. She is in quarantine, so I'll ask that if there's any public on A5 specifically. This is a consent agenda, just item A5. No public comment. Anybody on the phone for public comment, AGP?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no raised hands in the queue.
All right. Any discussion and or motion for A5?
I move that we approve item number A5.
Okay.
Second?
Okay, motion and a second. Any further discussion? Yes, Councilmember Heller.
No, I'm a little confused, and I think the public is sometimes confused about this item, because people still ask me, are their meetings open yet?
Yes.
And I'm wondering, can't we just clarify this and eliminate this, or do we need, make this, take it off the consent and make it
like an ongoing,
yeah, so it doesn't have to be there, so that people won't be confused about whether we're having open meetings.
Yeah. Chris, you want to comment on the legalities of it, just so that I'm clear and you're clear?
Sure. So AB 361, of course, amended the government code, and it allows the city, when there is a state of emergency, in this case it's COVID-19, and for purposes of tonight's meeting, and there's also recommended social distancing from state or local authorities, council can have teleconferencing for health and safety. Once that is done, then the council, to keep using it, needs to every 30 days re-examine that original resolution. Tonight's meeting, we're doing this because the 30 days has lapsed since the last one, because we were dark in July. So we're basically reinitiating the teleconferencing provisions through this resolution. If this passes tonight, then within 30 days, we either renew it or we start a new one. So it doesn't mean that we have to do hybrid. It just gives us the ability to do it in case between now and some future meeting, there's a spike in COVID, and council maybe thinks it's safe to do a hybrid meeting then, and some members don't want to show up, or maybe we go back to the darker days when we were doing it all through teleconferencing.
Okay, first I'd like to recognize you for fixing the microphone.
My pleasure. More than just an attorney.
He did a good job.
Good job, MacGyver. I got to say that. Very helpful. I understand the legal part. I'm thinking there's got to be some way we can communicate with the community that meetings are open now. And I don't know if that's rewording this consent item. So you start with that. The first part of that consent item is, meetings are in person again, and then put the legal part, or put it on the website or whatever, but I get questions still about it. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it. So if there's some way to do that, that would be great.
Great idea. Appreciate that. All right, no other questions? We'll go ahead and take a roll call vote on A5, please.
Councilmember Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Barton?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 401.
All right, AGP, if we could, or Dana, I'm not sure who's doing what, but I think Councilmember Addis is ready to come join us via the hybrid portion of the meeting, and I'm not sure, will she show up on the view? Councilmember Addis, are you here?
I'm here now, Mayor.
Great, okay. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. So public comment is now open for the remainder of the consent agenda items, A1 through A4, and then A6 through A10. Public comments open. Welcome, Betty.
Thank you, Betty Winholtz. I'd like to speak to A9, just ask a couple of questions. Under the financial section of this report, it says that there's no cost to the city because it's passed through because of the business that's involved. There has to be some city staff time involved, and so my question is, do we charge the business then for staff time, or is the staff time just part of their daily business, and so we don't charge extra for that because they're just processing their business as normal, is one question. And the second is, just want to express concern that the city manager signed this before he got approval from the city council. Thanks.
Thank you, Betty. And I do have one request, Mr. Homer Alexander for item A6. Thank you. Welcome, Homer.
Thank you. I suggest that one of you pull item A6, the investment report. The staff may want to comment about the $58.6 million in cash that the city had on hand June 30th in its two money market funds. Contrary to what some may believe, having this amount of cash immediately available demonstrates the city's finances are fine. Also, to correct one of the several inaccuracies in the newsletter that's currently being handed out door to door, the staff or one of you might want to point out that this city's cash position, coupled with the very favorable loan agreements, will alleviate any need to adjust the existing $41 water and sewer rate surcharge. Thank you.
Thank you. Finishing writing down your question, sorry. Public comment is still open for the consent agenda. Any members wishing to come forward, please do so now. Seeing none, AGP, do we have any phone public comments?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We do not have any raised hands in the queue.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment on the remainder of the consent agenda items. We'll pull A6 and A9 and address those. Any others that you all would like to pull? Seeing none.
Mayor, I would like to just,
Sorry?
I'd like to pull A10 because I have a comment to make about it.
Okay, sure. All right. So I believe that leaves a 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. And if there's a motion to approve those, did I get them all? Did I get them all, Dana?
I'll move to approve.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Addis.
9's been pulled, I think. Did you mention 9?
Did I say 9? I meant 8. Sorry, thank you. Motion by Councilmember Addis to approve those. We're approving everything but A9, A6, A10, and A5, which we already discussed.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we do have a motion by Councilmember Addis, second by Councilmember Ford. Any further discussion? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote on those.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Barton?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. That moves us to item A6, and let's see, that was a couple of questions by Mr. Alexander regarding our cash position, indicating, quote unquote, that our finances are basically fine. And with regard to that cash position, question, or his comment was there's no need for a change in the $41 surcharge that was built into the rates last 2/18 that we did for the water reclamation facility. And Mr. Collins, do you want to take that one? Or Ms. Johnston-Rios, please.
Thank you, Mayor. And yes, the cash position of the city has improved, which reflects several different components: recovery from the pandemic, strong reserve policies, the beginning of the collection of Measure E in November 2020, and the accumulation of a water and sewer reserve for capital funding. So it represents all of those things, and the investment report covers all of the city's funds. And so while there's no immediate proposal for a rate increase, like most agencies, that's something that we review periodically. And the city's current cash position, I wouldn't want to speak to that confirming any, or absolving any future potential need for a rate increase in future years to keep up with inflation, et cetera.
Okay, great. I appreciate that very much. Then item A9. Specific questions on that regarding the charges for staff time. The report indicated no fiscal impact, and then also the signature process by the city manager. And Scott, do you want to take that, or?
There was no dollar amount, so it's well within my threshold of $120,000, $125,000. So I was able to sign that without council approval. We still felt it was important to bring it forward for your notification, and Chris can talk to the others.
So within the authority given to the city manager to sign, okay?
Yes, and in regards to the staff costs, Scott Graham could probably speak more to the side of City Hall's internal staff in-house. But basically, staff is keeping track of their time that's being spent, and it's being charged to this account. And likewise, this money is reimbursing the city for consultants' fees, for city attorney fees, et cetera. So, Scott Graham, do you want to address the in-house development staff?
Happy to. Yeah. So we do track our time internally. The primary planner on the project is Cindy Jacinth, and then myself. So we track all of our time that we spend on the project, whether that's meeting with the subcommittee, whether that's meeting with the Vistra representatives, whether that's just working on the project. We track all of that time and charge it against the project, against the reimbursement agreement that was entered into in January of this year.
Meaning that there is no net cost to the city.
There is no net cost to the city.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. Okay, Councilmember Ford, item A10, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to take a moment to thank our current planning commissioner, Joe Ngrafia. He has stepped up once again and applied for the Public Works Advisory Board. So not just one very important position, but two very important positions, providing an amazing service to our city. Without our advisory boards and commissions, we just wouldn't be the city that we are. And I'm very grateful for you doing this twice. And I just want to remind anyone who's listening that we have other positions available as well that we're currently accepting applications for. We have a position on the Citizens Finance Advisory Committee. We have a position on the Harbor Advisory Board. And then we also have one currently for the Recreation Commission. Am I missing any? I think that's the only ones we have. Yeah. And so if you're interested in applying, you can go to morrowbayca.gov/advisory body. I believe that's correct. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. But we would love to have citizens who are interested in getting involved in the betterment of Morrow Bay to apply. So thank you again, Joe.
Joe, I'll echo that, and you do have a moment to think about it, second chance. I mean, I'm just going to, seeing no movement forward. We do appreciate your service on the Planning Commission, and I'll echo and I'll be supporting that as well. So thank you. Any further discussion on that item, A10? Yes, Councilmember Heller, please.
I'd just like to say, Mr. Ngrafia, this is diaphanous grab for power, and I just will never support this. And it's, it's like, I'm appalled that you would take this position and try to blatantly take over the city. But anyway, good for you. Good luck.
I think that was a compliment, Joe. I do. Thanks, Councilmember Heller.
I do have a comment about 9.
Yes, please, go ahead.
A question, rather. So in looking at it, it says that the development of a master plan prior to approval of development on the Vistra property is required. But my thinking and what I've been hearing is the master plan is going to be developed after the BEST project is constructed. Am I off on that? Or?
Yeah, Mr. Graham, you want to?
That is a fantastic question, Councilmember Heller.
He'll tell you the process.
The city's adopted general plan, local coastal land use plan, was adopted last year and certified by Coastal Commission in August of last year. Requires a master plan be prepared for the development of anything on the Vistra power plant site. And so we'll be doing a phased master plan. That's what this contract is for. Phase 1 will be the batteries, and it'll look at other uses that we could have on the site, and what constraints that might create, having a battery project on there versus the land uses that might otherwise be available to the site. The master plan will cover that. We'll do public outreach. We'll have community meetings, workshops, those types of things, to set what the master plan will look like. And then when the other portion of it comes forward, because they're going to do the demolition, right, of the stacks and the power plant building later, when we identify a development partner at that time, then they'll come forward to do phase 2, and they'll cover the development related to that. So that's the plan as it stands currently, and that's what the contract is for.
Okay, so that's underway then. I had a misunderstanding about it. Okay, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you. Okay. With that, if council is okay, we'll take a motion to approve all 3 of those, A6, 9, and 10.
I'll move approval of consent items A6, 9, and 10.
Great. Is there a second? Okay, motion by Councilmember Heller, second by Councilmember Barton to approve A6, 9, and 10. Any further discussion? And hearing none, we will go ahead and do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Barton?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. That brings us to our first business item this evening. This is item C-1. This is a resolution declaring the results of the June 7th, 2022 special municipal election. And I'm going to turn it over to our city clerk.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. As the Mayor mentioned, we are here to adopt Resolution 7722, declaring the results of a special election held on June 7th to elect 1 council member to fill the remainder of a term ending December 2024. The County Clerk Recorder's Office has conducted the official canvass of the votes cast and certified the results. Jennifer Ford received 2,378 votes. That is 57.44% of the total votes cast, and was elected as a member of the City Council. Following public comment and adoption of the resolution, I will invite Councilmember Ford to join me at the dais and issue her oath of office.
Great. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Public comment is now open for item C-1. Public comment. Any public comment on C1? Seeing none in the audience. Do we have any public comment, AGP, on the phone line?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no raised hands in the queue.
All right. So public comment is closed. Bring it back to council and allow you. Do we need to approve it first, or do you want to? Yes, please. So I will go ahead and move that we adopt Resolution 7722, declaring the results of the June 7th, 2022 special municipal election, and allow the city clerk to administer the oath of office to Council Member Ford.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Heading, second by Councilmember Barton for item C-1, staff recommendation. Any further comments? Seeing none?
I guess I'll say
You
a
want
little
to comment?
something. I'll say a little something.
You want to say something about yourself? Please do.
Yeah, no. I just want to thank the support from our community and And I'm just very grateful to continue on through 2024. I'm going to try not to, well, I'm getting emotional, but that's me. Hi, I'm Jen Ford. I get emotional. It's such a pleasure to get to work with our city staff and to get to work with our community and to work on your behalf. Not my behalf, but your behalf. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Jen. Any other comments on this before we take a vote? Or did we already take the vote? We already did take the vote, yes. So I'll just make a final comment, and it's great to see kids, young people, come out and give comments regarding support of a parent that has stepped up to the plate to do things to improve their city. So thank you both for being here tonight. I noticed Dad is here as well, and we appreciate his allowing her to continue to serve. So thank you, family, for being here. Gail, it's always great to see you as well, my dear. And with that, please. Did we? Well, let's vote. Let's go ahead and do a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Addis?
Yes.
Councilmember Ford?
Yes.
Councilmember Heller?
Yes.
Councilmember Barton?
Yes.
And Mayor Heading?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Great. Now let's go ahead and do the oath.
Stand on this side. Right hand and repeat after me.
You want to use the mic?
I'm going to let her use
Okay, thank you.
I state your name.
I, Jennifer Ford,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
to support and defend
to support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution of the State of California.
that I will bear true against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
Can you repeat that?
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
Against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the state,
and to the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about.
the duties of which I'm about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And can I just say something really quick again? I just want to honor Gail Davis, who's here. Red Davis was very special, and taking his position it's a big role to fill, and it's just an honor to have his widow here to be a part of this moment. So I just wanted to recognize Gail Davis in the audience here. So thank you.
That frame is nicer than the one that I got. That is so nice. It's going to look great at your house. Beautiful. Welcome, Jen. That brings us to item C-2. This is a City Council Goals and Action Items Update. And I'm going to turn it over to our esteemed City Manager, Mr. Collins. Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, community. Scott Collins, City Manager. Just going to go over a bit of the background that led us to where we are today with goals. Council took up the goal review and revision effort late last year. Typically, we start right after an election, but we were delayed last year due to COVID-19 response. So we had a couple of facilitated meetings for council to kind of grapple with the high-level goals, the correct goals, and then look at the action items that would help make those goals a reality. So that was formally approved in the fall of last year, and the goals and action items will carry forward through the entirety of this year and into early next year when the new council is seated, and rinse and repeat that process. Just by way of background, the goals are fantastic. They're really focused on the future and moving us forward on an ambitious timeline. But it all comes back to the core reasons why we exist as a city, which is to provide essential services and infrastructure to maintain a safe, clean, and healthy place for residents and visitors to work, live, and play. So all of our efforts, from the police department, the fire department, recreation, harbor, community development, public works, admin, all really support that mission. And thankfully, because our community has taken efforts to help support funding those programs, we do a pretty good job of maintaining that core level of service. It allows us to look forward into the future, things like land use and climate change and community well-being, and just really how we want to shape our future together. And so we're fortunate in a position where we can do both. It is a struggle, of course, always in intention of trying to do everything. We can't, so we have to make some tough choices, and that's where the goal process comes in handy to really help kind of focus priorities and efforts. So the council goals that were approved late last year were improve public infrastructure, achieve fiscal sustainability and economic vitality, address housing needs, climate action, and improve community health. We had sort of kind of ways to define those statements or through goal statements, which I won't go into, but I did want to do a rundown of the short-term action items. We do this on a quarterly basis, so council and the community is aware of kind of what we're working on and working towards, and the progress we've made to date. So just bear with me. I'm going to go through those 5 goal areas and talk about the action items and where we are in relation to those. Most of the 36 action items we have some progress on. That's thanks to the staff here. It's not my doing. It's set by council and ultimately done by staff. And so I'm very thankful to the department heads here and their staff that make this possible. So the first under improve public infrastructure is to conduct a traffic speed survey. Council approved funding for that through the fiscal year 22-23 budget. Public Works is going to be working on that this year. We're able to maintain the ability to cite and give out infractions for speed on certain streets right now because of a law that was passed that extended the validity of the last speed survey that was completed, but that lapses in 2023, so we need to get ahead of that to be able to continue and enforce speed laws within our city. Next up is to initiate a capital assessment effort. Funding was approved for a capital assessment of the city just generally, as well as Harbor specifically, through this fiscal year. Important to note that while we don't have a formal CIP plan for everything, we do have known issues throughout the city, whether it's in our parks or whether it's on our harbor or waterfront. We have projects that we know about or are working towards, and this assessment effort will really help to hone in on some of the things we're not quite aware of. We do know what the urgent needs are, but we don't know everything, and that's an assessment will help really bring to light. Next up is review options and develop optimal staffing for city maintenance efforts, which was accomplished through the mid-year budget last year. Initiate work on paid parking pilot program and continue work on a longer-term plan. We're currently going through the next phase of developing a pilot program. Council gave direction last year for city staff to take what we had as sort of the data and turn it into an actual pilot program. And so we'll be talking with a stakeholder group later this month, most likely, and then to the various advisory boards in September, October, and likely council this fall to see if we can get a pilot program moving forward. It would first have to go to Coastal Commission. Then pursue grant opportunities for the Coleman Beach area. We're currently involved in several different grants opportunities with the state. The next big goal item is goal area is achieve fiscal sustainability and economic vitality. Seek state lobbyists contract to assist in obtaining state funding for city projects. Council approved both extending the Townsend Public Affairs contract for the state lobbyists as well as Ferguson for the feds. Assess viability for business improvement districts for downtown and Embarcadero. As Erica Crawford, Chamber CEO, mentioned tonight, we're hopefully being able to unveil some of the information we've learned from the business community about whether that's a viable option, and certainly we'll be discussing that with council when we know more. Review development opportunities for Market Plaza property. The city has gone through a very lengthy process with the state regarding the state Surplus Land Act, regarding that redevelopment opportunity. We're free and clear from that process and are able to pursue redevelopment opportunities there. Complete a fee study, particularly development impact fees. This has been an ongoing saga, and laws have changed since we started working on this in 2019. So we still have some work to do, and we're engaging with the chamber to really make sure we're bringing something forward that makes sense for the business community. Not that we're going to do everything they say, but at least have a sounding board before bringing it to council. I assume that's probably later this year, correct, Scott? Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yes. Okay. More to come. Continue review of the Vistra proposed battery project, or BESS for short. And as mentioned earlier, Vistra has submitted a project application for the BESS project, which also includes removal of the decommissioned power plant smokestacks. There's an environmental review for that project that's underway, and then also a master plan process. Assess cybersecurity needs, and staff is conducting assessments ongoing, and have added new layers upon layers in which you can assess your technology, and sometimes it can be frustrating, but it keeps bad people away from our stuff, which is good. Prepare and review policy options on liabilities for pension and healthcare, and we're going through a subcommittee process to review companies that provide 115 trust funds that secure revenues in a place where we can earn more interest income or investment income, but all that money has to be put into paying down PERS or other pension liabilities. So we're hoping to bring something back to council in the fall of this year. Next bucket is address housing needs, complete zoning update. City staff hopefully is finalizing draft with the review by the Coastal Commission in the next couple weeks. Okay, Planning Commission will be reviewing at the next meeting. Just like with the Plan Morrow Bay or the general plan, there was several meetings to review by the Planning Commission and ultimately council, so we anticipate a similar process. So council will be hearing about this in the fall. Develop stock accessory dwelling unit templates to provide to the public for free. I was been asked if we were providing free ADUs, and I wanted to say yes to people, but no, they're not free ADUs, but they're a template to actually go forward with the plan, so it helps reduce costs and create something that's could be used throughout the county. And I believe we're pretty close to.
It's the actual construction documents,
yeah.
And we're reviewing I think hopefully the final version of the construction documents right now, and our building inspector plans examiner, Chad Omet, was reviewing them actually this week.
Not free ADUs, free templates. Provide update to council on new state housing legislation, such as Senate Bill 9 and general educational housing. We did that earlier this year or late last year, so we probably due to bring something forward because every new session brings new housing legislation.
Yeah, it is included in the zoning code update. SB 9 policies are, ADU policies are, inclusionary housing, density bonus, all of those types of things are included in the new zoning code. So you'll get a good brief on that when it comes to city council.
Very good. Implement housing element. This was a major effort to create the housing element. While many other communities are still going through the process, we have an improved housing element. And staff is working to finalize the core components of that, including, as Scott just mentioned, inclusionary housing, objective design standards, and density bonuses, amongst other opportunities to help encourage housing development. We anticipate this kind of an ongoing thing that we brought to council as we get more parts together from that. Seashell Estates land use amendment regarding density. This was brought to the Planning Commission in June. We got some good comments from the Planning Commission, so we're figuring out what to do next and likely bring something to council later this fall. Complete CityWorks online plan check application. This is to help expedite the process of reviewing documents, and city staff has implemented an online application and is testing it with one of the user groups, and do we have any outcome on that still?
Well, where we're at right now, you can submit applications electronically. The issue right now that we're working on is the electronic plan check, and it's kind of an add-on component to the project through an application called DigiPlan. So it actually allows us on screen to redline basically plans, and so we're rolling that out now with select applicants, and we're hopefully going to have within the next probably couple of weeks, we're going to have a second training session with the DigiPlan folks once staff's had a chance to kind of play with it again in real time and generate questions. So it's happening right now.
Right. This is part of the more global process to help improve the planning process overall, and a lot of that just involves more engagement with our community, and I appreciate the work that Scott and his team are doing. Along those lines, initiate work with the Planning Commission Ad Hoc Committee for review of the planning process. This is something we intend to pick up once the zoning code is complete. The next bucket is climate action. Pursue electric vehicle charging station funding. The city has received grant funding for several charging stations on the waterfront, and we did get additional funding to cover the costs that the grant wouldn't cover, particularly around, I think, connecting electricity to that area through PG&E. And Greg, I don't know if you had anything to add, like in terms of when we would anticipate charging stations on the waterfront, or is it just later this year?
I don't have an update on the charging stations for the waterfront in terms of timeline, because that is in PG&E's court. But we do have some building plans submitted for chargers at Delmar Park. So that is in progress.
Great, thank you. Initiate implementation of Senate Bill 1383, which is the organic waste for residents and businesses. Been a lot of efforts underway, both by our council member, Jeff Heller, with the IWMA, and working contracts with them, as well as with our Morrow Bay Garbage, our hauler. And then the community, through the Prop 218 process, it did support rate increases. It was a protest vote. There weren't sufficient protests, I should say. And this is really to help reduce overall organic waste in our waste stream. A lot of more, I'm not doing it justice here, but there's a lot of efforts underway and a lot to do to fully implement this important bill. So more to come on that. Promote Central Coast Energy, Community Energy, our 3CE, new construction electrification program. A lot of fancy words, but ultimately what that means is future residential development in Morrow Bay would be all electric, so you wouldn't have gas stoves anymore. We are put forward a draft ordinance for community consumption as well as a survey just to get input. Other communities have gone forward with this and have learned a lot. We've learned a lot through other communities stepping into this before us about some of the pitfalls and what may make sense for our community. So we're hoping we get good input from the community through the survey, which is also on our website. Create city webpage with links to energy efficiency websites. We've published a climate action webpage on the city website where this information is available. Elevate climate crisis to a climate emergency by way of resolution and seek funding to move forward in this area. Council approved a resolution to that effect in February of this year. Implement 3CE REACH Code Incentive Program for new residential development. We're working through an energy network in our county to help do that. And council did add another action item in June of this year, a comprehensive long-term water supply analysis and plan to identify long-range water supply strategies. So I think we're going to provide quarterly updates to council on that effort. Last bucket is the improve community health, and this is to support SLO County public health communication efforts for vaccination for our community, particularly those in underrepresented communities, and we continue to do so. Inform the county process to update the 10-year plan on homelessness. It's now the 5-year plan to reduce homelessness. It's a countywide effort, not a county effort, so it's all the cities, the county, nonprofits, private, business, hospitals, everything. If we really want to make a dent in this issue, it's going to take all hands on deck approach. And so I was part of the steering committee that's bringing forward recommendations to the Board of Supervisors at their next meeting, which I believe is the afternoon of the 16th at the Board of Supervisors chamber, so hopefully folks can tune in or go to that meeting. But it's been a great effort. It's been really great to be part of that, representing the city managers in our community or in our county to help inform what little I can add to that. We had a police chief involved and a council member from Atascadero and leaders of the nonprofit sector who work in this space. And really, really great comprehensive plan. And it's going to take everybody putting forward a lot of effort to make an improvement. So it's not going to end homelessness, but it hopefully can curtail it and help lead people to better lives and also improve the overall health of our community. Last is support Filipino American group, FONS for short, a rededication event at their historic monument at Coleman Beach. We continue to work with them on that, and also thanks to Greg Wallach, Public Works Director, and his staff, we're trying to find ways of creating a cultural kind of center, if you will, in that Coleman Beach pocket of representing both the FONS but also Native American tribes, and have deep connections with Morrow Rock and Morrow Bay in general. So hopefully more information to come on that. And we'd be remiss to state again, that we have these ambitious goals, forward-looking, hopefully representative of the community, since we did do surveys and community forums to help seek input. But we also have the core components of the city that we do that represents the 90 to 95% of our efforts. And we will continue to monitor our ability to perform in both of those areas, and appreciate City Council's acknowledgement of staff's time, like you always do. It means a lot to us. And again, thanks to the staff here who are able to perform both at the day-to-day level and also looking to the future. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott, for the comprehensive overview of where we are with our goals. Always appreciate that. And I'll open it up to any council questions of either Scott or any staff members involved with their goals.
Councilmember Heller, did you have a question?
I do.
I'll go after you.
Oh, okay. Here. You go ahead.
Thank you, Scott. Very comprehensive. I have a few questions on some of these items. I'm glad to hear that core services are taking 90 to 95% of your time. When I see this long list, I think, core services, are pushed to the side. So I'm glad to hear that that's your focus. I'd like to thank the Morrow Bay Police for their electric sign that you've been moving around the neighborhoods with speed limit warnings, which I think is just a great thing for the city, and I think it has been effective. I don't know how you feel about it, Chief, but I see it all different places where there do seem to be speeding and traffic issues, so I appreciate you being proactive about that. Capital needs assessment, I have a question about that. Is that being done internally by the department heads, or how are you establishing that?
Greg, do you want to take this one? Okay, thanks.
Sure, that's a great question, Councilmember Heller. We intend to release an RFP by the end of this calendar year, so we hope to get a qualified consultant on board. That consultant certainly will be interviewing city staff to develop recommendations for that capital needs plan. Very likely department directors and other managers, but that work will be done by a consultant.
Great, that's what I wanted to hear, because there are firms that just do that, and they're fairly affordable, and really good information to have for long-term analysis of your facilities. Paid parking program, let's see here. So completing the fee study and development impact fees, does that mean like all fees when you talk about impact fees? What I hear about a lot from the community and from the chamber is, fees for permits, fees for this, fees for that, lots of fees for developing things. So when you talk about a fee study regarding impact fees, does that include all fees, or?
It's related to the development when it comes in. There's like a traffic impact fees for the impact that the new development would have on our circulation system. There's police and fire impact fees, so new development comes in, needs to pay its fair share for our police and fire services. It's those types of things.
Okay. And that's going to be completed sometime in the fall, hopefully. Okay, that'd be great. What else here? Cybersecurity, what exactly has been, or not exactly, but generally been done with respect to cybersecurity? recently. What kinds of things do we still have to do?
In general terms, because this is some sensitive information, we have been assessing and evaluating all of our existing measures and taking on some new measures. Dual factor authentication is one, for example, that we recently rolled out citywide, and that protects the security of our network. We've also increased the security for staff who may be working remotely because of the pandemic. And we're continuing to evaluate a number of other items to ensure that we're able to maintain our existing insurance coverage, which we have successfully done. And staff is just keeping pace with industry best practices.
Okay, and are we using our current IT guy for that work, or is someone else?
We're using in-house staff. We have two IT staff members, and we have a consultant who has expertise in that area as well that supplements our staff.
Great. Thank you for that. Another question, I guess, has to do with the unfunded liability, which we're going to be getting some policy options in the fall. So I'm looking forward to that. I am wondering what other cities are doing. I hope you're looking at that, and we'll report on that, and whether there's any change or any chance for state legislation that might be helping us out. So I hope that is part of what you're able to report to us. Housing needs, affordable housing, obviously is a chronic issue, and in my opinion, affordable housing in Morrow Bay for the folks with very low or extremely low income pretty much is the mobile home parks. And I hope we can work with Mobile Home Park Linda to make sure that the current ordinance is sufficient to prevent some of the rate increases that some of the park owners are implementing. And I think maybe a meeting with Linda might be helpful. She can go over that in detail. But if we can keep that affordable housing in place, I think that would be great. I met recently with the head of People's Self-Help Housing, Ken Triguero, and he mentioned that Santa Barbara has constructed a 12-unit affordable housing building on a 4,000 square foot lot. So I'd like to see if there's some way we can at least conceptually look at how we might do that here using city land. Affordable housing for those three lowest tiers is what's critical. Everything else will be for moderate and above income, and it'll be driven by market rate rents and market rate sales prices. So I think if we can somehow come up with some magical solution for truly affordable housing for the people of Morro Bay, that would be great. Let's see here. Yeah, those are my questions about that. Thanks for that, and thank you, staff, and all the work that you're doing on these things, plus doing your day job with your 95% core services that are so important. So thank you all for that.
Thanks, Councilmember Heller. Councilmember Ford.
Thank you. I want to echo what Councilmember Heller said as far as housing goes. I agree. I have a question regarding the ADU templates. I know that we were saying, it helps the process, speed up the process and whatnot. Can you, maybe Scott Graham, maybe you can tell us a little bit about how much money that will save the person who is, if you have an idea of what a plan, what template would have cost if they were to have to get it themselves? Is it like $10,000 savings or?
20 to 30.
20 to 30. So it's a significant savings for someone and an incentive to
Yeah. And we're coming up, we're preparing, one of the things we're reviewing currently is the information packet that goes along with them, because there's other things that you have to go get, like, you have to do grading, you have to have drainage and things like that. And so we're putting together packages to help people save money in those areas as well. Everybody's lot's different, so it's just in general information, but we're trying to put together a comprehensive information packet that people can use so they can figure out how to identify contractors to build these things for them and those types of things. So that was one of at a meeting with the group, which includes many of the cities in the county, that was one of the things that was important to everyone, I think, was if these are truly going to be affordable, we need to give them sort of the path forward and cover all of the things, because most people don't know how to go hire a contractor. They don't know how to deal with it, find a consultant to do a grading plan or things like that. So hopefully the package that we're putting together will at least provide those key pieces to moving the development forward, not just a set of plans, but it's really a pathway forward, a map forward, if you will.
Wonderful, thank you. I have one other question. The Digiplan, I think that's what it's called, and the CityWorks digital program that for planning. I know it makes your job easier. It makes our staff's job a little bit, hopefully, easier in the future, and the whole process smoother. Do you think that there will be some sort of cost savings in that process? Will it cut down staff's time? Is there something that you project that will actually be beneficial above and beyond the obvious?
So once we start moving folks in this direction, if you walk into our office, and most of you have been in there, you walk in through the front door into our office and in through the front counter area and walk back into where the offices are, what you see is plans everywhere. What moving to this electronic submittal platform and electronic plan check will do is get rid of those. We spend an inordinate amount of time moving paper from place to place. Applications come in, they're like this, rules, sets of plans are like this, we won't have those anymore. And you'll be able to do those plan checks again on your computer screen. So that's what it'll save. And it's the laying out the plans when we're all done with them and they're all signed off by everybody, and then having everybody have to go up there and sign them. It'll all be done electronically, and so that time won't be wasted. Sometimes it takes a couple of days to get somebody, if they're out or whatever, to sign, but once you're done with the plan check, you're done, and then the permit tech can actually electronically sign. You don't have to actually physically go sign the plans when you're done. So it'll probably cut, I would imagine 2 to 3 days out of the review process for like a single family home, something like that.
Oh, well, that sounds significant to me.
Yeah.
I have one comment to make, and I just want to thank Mr. Graham and others who were a part of creating this climate action page that's now on our website. And I found the easiest way to get to it is to just go to the search bar and type in climate action, and boom, it's right there. It's the first thing listed. So there's information that's accessible for individuals to get rebates, or there's information that can help you individually as a homeowner or someone who wants to purchase an e-bike. There's benefits available out there. So please check out the climate action page. I'm excited that it's up and running. So, and it's a work in progress, I've been told. So we add additions to it in the future.
It is. We actually have a bunch of new information to add to it. Cindy's been busy this week. She's the one that typically updates it, Cindy Jason. But yeah, we have a whole bunch of new material content to roll out into it. So yeah, we're constantly updating it as we get new information that we can pass out to our citizens. So.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's it for me. Thank you. Oh, and thank you all for your hard work. I'm just very grateful. Again, as Mr. Councilmember Heller said, you go above and beyond. You're strapped. You have only so many hours in the day, and you get it all done and above and beyond. So thank you.
I'll say ditto to that. A couple, 3 questions. Mr. Collins, the harbor assessment with regard to capital needs, will that be done by an external consultant? I know you briefly commented on it. And what's the absolute timeline for that in terms of having that done, generally?
Yeah, I don't know about the timeline. Ideally, we would have it done in this fiscal year. As it was mentioned before, we have the known projects, right? Like we have known projects throughout the city that we absolutely have to take care of, but it's sort of what's next, and that's sort of what was helpful with the One Water plan on the water, sewer, and stormwater. We had some ideas of what the problem children were in the system, but this did the comprehensive look, and so we're hoping that we'll do the same for both harbor and other non-water, sewer, stormwater projects throughout the city. I think, as Mr. Kwok mentioned, we'll do an RFP to bring a consultant on to help guide that process. Of course, Eric and staff for the harbor side will be heavily involved. Eric Endersby, the harbor director, and staff will be heavily involved. Greg and his team will be involved, as well as Kirk Carmichael, because of the connectivity to community facilities. So it'll be a team effort guided by a consultant. But again, we'd hope to have that complete by the end of this fiscal year, but I don't want to make promises we can't deliver on. So until we know we actually have a consultant on board, it'd be hard to gauge.
Yeah, and the reason I ask is my sense is there are a number of structural issues down there. I'm not an engineer, not a harbor master, but my sense is in talking with staff and some of the lessees that there may well be some real structural issues that need to be addressed, and so I'm concerned about timing on that. A second question I had, I know it's early, but are we satisfied with Townsend Public Affairs in their representation at the state level for the city? Your level of satisfaction so far?
Yeah, I believe so. We didn't have success this time around with the state surplus, and they had set up a discussion with Senator Laird's office, and it was really enlightening to have that time to understand sort of the decision-making made by the various state senators who helped guide the governor's budget. In Senator Laird's district, which includes Watsonville, they've been trying to keep a public hospital open for decades, and the bulk of his
$22 million.
His money went directly to that. So that was a conversation they helped facilitate and really, how to prepare for the next time around. It's been really good, and they've also sent us updates on legislation that affects these goals that we're discussing tonight. I think it's really helpful to have that. Set up meetings with the Energy Commission, and then direct conversations with those that oversee the Prop 68 grants that we've applied for Coleman Beach, as well as boating and waterways, which is also, I believe, in the Parks and Rec department. So being able to set up those meetings, I think, sort of have to take the long view that it does take time to develop those relationships, and doesn't always bear fruit immediately, but feel good about the relationships that are helping us build. Same goes for Ferguson with the feds.
Good. Yeah, Ferguson we're well familiar with, and in my opinion, they've done an excellent job. My last question was, do we have a delivery or a deliverable date on the bid recommendation from Erica's analysis? Is there a date?
The goal is to get a survey and to start to engage the business community towards the end of last fiscal year, so we're pretty close to hitting that. It's slipped a little bit, but we see this as a probably ongoing conversation. Whether or not there's support for a bid, there's other ways that the city can collaborate with those districts to help make improvements. I mean, ultimately, I think the goal of business improvement districts is to help bring attention to those regions through marketing. Our tourism business improvement district is focused on marketing out of county to bring people in, to stay overnight. You have like downtown SLO as a bid, for instance. They typically try to market within market, which is not what the tourism business improvement district is meant to do. So there's that, and there are other bids that do actual upgrades. So we really have to figure out what these districts would want to look for. Are they looking for more of the marketing, or are they looking more for the improvements? Because that will be drastic differences in terms of what the assessments would be. If you want to do real improvements, that's a lot of money versus marketing, which is less involved. So a lot of discussions would need to take place, and as Erica mentioned, they would need to be driven by those folks in the business community, not by the city. We're just here to help see if this is something they're interested in.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll have something to council this fall on that.
Okay, great, thanks. Any other questions for Scott or staff?
No questions, but a comment. I am so pleased to see this report. I worried when we adopted all of this that it was going to bring things to a halt. I'm just pleased to see the progress, and that we will be seeing additional updates as time goes along. It seemed at the time we adopted it that it was going to just overwhelm everybody, but this is great. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I want to ask Councilmember Addis.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. Yeah, Councilmember Addis, any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I will echo what Councilmember Barton said. I actually wasn't really worried about how much work there was, because I know how good our staff is, but I'm really excited by the climate goals, by the housing goals, by the DEI goals, by what we're doing financially. I think that staff has done an excellent job, and I'm just also very proud of our council for taking on big challenges that are incredibly pertinent to what's happening day to day in the lives of Morrow Bay residents. So I want to say thank you for that.
Great, thank you. Okay, public comment for item C2 is open. Any member of the public wishing to speak on C2, please do so now. Welcome, Betty.
Hi again, Betty Winholtz. I want to say that, and I've kind of raised this point before, I think we have good goals, but I think our actions are not as pertinent. I think it's kind of become evident with the discussion tonight that and I'll use infrastructure, the first one as an example. It says, quote, essential public services and infrastructure, essential. To me, that's our core services. And yet all your goals are about other things that are, for me, pie in the sky. And if you look at the 5 items under that particular goal, you'll see 4 out of 5 of them have to do with outside services or consultants, and they don't have to do with, redoing our roads or fixing things that are core infrastructure for us residents. And so I feel like you're a little bit off center in terms of what the public wants. I think we need to go back to those core things. In spite of the fact your staff may spend 95% of their time on that, this other stuff is maybe not as, I don't know how much it needs to be there. And so I just want to set that up as good goals, actions are maybe out of step. And in terms of the climate thing, and in particular about the electrification, it worries me as a person who has a gas stove, who has a gas heater. If you make me go to electric and our electricity goes out, I got nothing. I can't heat my house, I can't cook my food. So I am not in favor of full electrifying of my house or the whole town. I think that puts us a little bit in danger, frankly. We have an older population. We need to be able to maintain our heat. We need to be able to feed ourselves. And, we aren't necessarily part of the rolling blackouts that have been across the state of California, but we had a blackout here a few months ago, and it was out for several hours, say 6 hours. So we're lucky that they don't last a long time, but frankly, I think it's foolish to look at that as a goal. Thank you.
Thank you, Betty. Public comment is still open. Item C2. Seeing no other members, do we have anybody on the phone, AGP, for public comment?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have no raised hands in the queue.
All right, I'll go ahead and close public comment, bring it back. I'll echo the comments that were made. Thank you, staff, for all of the work that you do. Lots of goals, lots of work. I made some notes on some of the public comments that have been made, especially with regard to future goals as well. And so I'll share those, and when we have the goal-setting session, that would be the time that we would take to look at those and consider those for the future. So thank everybody for your work, for the improvements that you've made in each of these areas, and look forward to continued reports and achieving these goals by the end of this goal period. Thank you all. With that takes us to item D, declaration of future agenda items. Anything for the greater good? None here. Yes, Councilmember Heller.
Yes. To follow up on the mobile home park affordability issue, I'd like to suggest that Scott Collins and Chris Newmeyer meet with Linda Winters to talk about our existing ordinance and what can be done to shore it up against some of the pressures that are being put on homeowners.
We're happy to do that. That's a great suggestion. I don't know if you wanted a report back or something.
I would like a report back, sure, yeah.
So
Report back to the
some
council.
Chris and I would be happy to do if that's the will of the council, but we do it regardless of if council.
And it'd be nice to hear it back, so I support that.
naturally.
It's
Meant to do that.
10% of our population is, so that's important. Thanks for that, appreciate it. No. Seeing no others, with that, I'll go ahead and adjourn the meeting. The next regular meeting of the Morrow Bay City Council will be held on Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. at the Vets Hall. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. Have a great evening.